Welcome, everybody. We have another episode of Cubs Now. Alex Cohen, Lance Brozdowski, and as you can see, we have a guest. It is former Chicago Cub, former All-Star, current analyst here for Marquee Sports Network, Carlos Peña. Carlos, thanks for coming on.
I'm so pumped to be here with you guys.
Yeah,
Really,
it's good to see you.
couldn't wait.
We appreciate it. Carlos, you have made this next phase of your career. You've transferred to it swimmingly. You went from player to analyst to in studio. What made you want to join us and join the media corps instead of talking to the media corps? Like, that's a tough transition for players to make. How were you able to make it?
You know, when I was playing, I've always been fascinated, and you know, Lance and I talked at length about this. You know, always fascinated with numbers, with stats, trying to figure out where can I get the edge. So it just seems so natural to me. It's like I want to analyze the game. I want to find, you know, what's wrong, what's going right. You know, if I could find that out, then, you know, hopefully you can teach it, and whoever the player is, maybe they can repeat it because they know why good things happen. They know why bad things happen. Now you can avoid those bad things. If you do something right, now you can stay more consistent. So I've always been fascinated when I played with all that stuff. Now I come off the field and I'm thinking, I'm still analyzing games. You know, they're like, oh, you're going to go retire, you're going to go travel, you're going to forget about baseball.
No, you're watching TV.
I'm like sitting there, I'm like, man, if he just did this, it'll be better for him, you know. So naturally, I just gravitated towards this side of, you know, of the industry.
With all the information that's available now, is there an element of today's game from a data standpoint or anything that is more modern that you think if you had it when you played, it would have helped you immensely?
Oh, there's plenty of things like that. I mean, understanding now the tendencies, you know, where before maybe you couldn't really get the nitty-gritty of stuff. Now you could really get anything you want. You can say, okay, this guy likes to throw the slider a lot, you know, or he's throwing 80% fastballs, 20% sliders. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah.
That's the way we had it maybe when I played. Now you get spin rate. Now you have exactly how much it moves. Now you have what's the vertical, you know, rise. You know, how when is it moving up? Is it going down? You can look at a chart and see how many inches is actually moving to the left or to the right. You know, oh, that's a cutter. The cutter is not really cutting, it's just holding its line. That's a four-seamer. The four-seamer is actually not going straight. It actually sails a little bit, and they call that a four-seamer. I can know all that on a pitcher, and I'm like, if I had this, it would be easier to plan against a pitcher, you know. Do I believe that players nowadays actually maximize what it's available to them? No, as a matter of fact, it could also be confusing.
It's a detriment.
Yeah, it could also be
overload.
confusing. So you really have to be careful to separate the signal from the noise.
You talk about the data differences, about the information that you could get. What about the game? I mean, you have guys like Jacob Mizorowski throwing 105.5 mile per hour fastballs and 99 mile per hour cutters. If you were a hitter in today's age, how do you go about planning against that?
Yeah, we were just sitting there looking at how hard every single pitcher now throws. To the point where now someone throws 95 and we're like, this guy is throwing slow.
Is that a changeup?
I'm like, wait a second, this 95 miles per hour, it's 96 miles per hour. It's like, yeah, but this other guy's throwing 103. You know, the Miz is throwing 105. Okay, so you have to put things into perspective. The idea now is, as a hitter, how do I time that? We have to really get over the fact that we really don't go out there and react. We really have to act on these pitchers. We had to do it when maybe the fastball average was 95. Now, when it's close to 100, you cannot just sit there and react. You really have to be proactive. You got to get on the fastball. You have to get going before the ball is thrown, expect it, anticipate it, get above it, before the ball is even released. So understanding those things are key to being a successful hitter. Throughout your whole entire career, you do it probably innately. You just kind of understand timing. But when you have the information that now you have, you're able to figure out, I need to get started as soon as he
This
kicks.
guy's probably throwing this
going.
pitch at this time, and I have to start swinging.
You got to get started.
Yeah.
Get going. Not out of control, but you got to get going. So that's how you approach those guys. If you're waiting to see the ball, and then you're like, now I'm going to swing, you're too late.
You're done.
You're too late.
Yeah.
The pitchers, when you played, that gave you the most frustration, what did they do well?
The deception. It is, you know, a lot of people are like, wow, that slider is absolutely nasty. You know, for example, CC Sabathia was one of the toughest pitchers for me. right? And they're like, well, he threw this nasty slider. And I'm like, well, yes, but if I knew the slider was coming, I would, number one, not swing at it if it was low. If he hung it, I would crush it. But it was the fact that the slider looked like the fastball. So at the end, I was not really swinging and missing because he threw the slider. I'm swinging and missing because I thought it was a fastball. So the deception that he created, or that he was able to execute, was really his strength. I couldn't tell the difference between a slider and a fastball. There was no hump on the slider.
Yeah.
So that's I think sometimes also we hear a lot, even many analysts when we talk, wow, that slider is absolutely nasty, he should throw it more often. I'm like, actually, if he throws it too often, then it becomes predictable, and all of a sudden now it loses its, it's not effective anymore. Now, if he mixes in the fastball and the hitter has to respect the fastball, now that slider becomes better. So good breaking ball pitchers are usually the ones that can make the slider or the curveball or the changeup look like the fastball.
Or you could be like Mariano Rivera, just throw 93 mile per hour cutters all the time.
He was nasty to me too.
He was really good.
He was tough. He was tough.
You were talking about your big league career and some of your experiences and pitchers you faced. What was your favorite moment of your big league career? Is it big league debut? Is it the All-Star game? Is it playing in the World Series? Is it your year that you played for the Cubs? Like, what is the one moment when it's all said and done, you're like, man, that was sick. That was fun.
Being a Cub was unbelievable. That for sure is going to be one of my greatest memories. As a matter of fact, I have the Cubs jersey at my home. It's like, and I played for many teams, right? And it's like, no, this was special. Being in Wrigley Field, wearing this uniform that has so much history, it's one of my best memories. I would say going to the World Series was the top, because it truly felt like it was a bunch of kids playing baseball, and we made it to the World Series, made the impossible happen, and that was in Tampa in 2008.
Yeah, playing in Philadelphia. And
seriously.
In the rain and delays.
That was nuts.
It was crazy.
I mean, we had a game where it got stopped midway, and it was a 2-day delay before we came back.
Fun fact, I was at the game.
Tell me that was
crazy.
miserable.
It was nuts.
And it was crazy because I was having a tough World Series. I was actually hurt. I had the lower abdominals were ripped from the pelvis.
Oh
right?
my God!
It was. No one knew. I was in pain.
Prove it.
Yeah,
Jeez, man.
pain, right? But I'm here trying to produce, and I was not. But in that game, I come up with a big hit. It's raining, it's storming. You can barely walk. Everything is so slippery.
It's like 48 degrees. It's
cold.
Miserable. Yeah.
I get the base hit, beat you up to scores. We tied the game. At that moment, I'm like, we have momentum.
Yeah.
Game over for today. And the rain stopped the momentum. So to this day, I say, what would have happened if we could have finished that game, continue the momentum, and we win that ball game? And
probably would have won.
Take it back.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I say to myself.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't
Probably would have won
happen.
that game. Yeah.
We probably would have won that game. We would have gone back to Tampa, and we would have won the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah. If my grandma had a mustache, she'd be my grandfather.
I don't think I've ever heard that. That's a great. Oh my God.
That is a good curveball here for Cubs right there. Yeah.
I want to ask you. You mentioned momentum there. This is something that I feel like, from the data perspective, like there's a hot hand theory in basketball where if you hit 3 threes in a row, you're more inclined to take deeper threes where you have less of a probability of making the shot. But you mentioned momentum there, and I feel like anyone, even if you played pickup or even like a more casual sport, has that innate feeling of when things are moving in your favor or not. To a player in the World Series, like, can you describe what it feels like when you think you take momentum in a game?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, well, we can use the Cubs as an example, because something similar happened in 2016 in Cleveland. There was a delay. Right there was a delay. And there was a big home run by Rashard Davis, right? Where all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is not good.
Yeah.
Rain. Boom. Now they go into the clubhouse. There's a talk there.
Yeah, Jason Hayward has some really polite and nice things to say.
Right?
Yeah. Great. Yeah, you could probably not share them on television. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they go out and win the World Series. And I'm wondering, momentum shift, and all of a sudden goes to the Cubs. Or if it was shifting towards the right there, Cleveland, Well, not anymore because it rained, it stopped it. So I believe there's something to it. I mean, we've seen Michael Jordan go on a tear. We've seen,
Sure.
remember the years when Sammy Sosa played here. I mean, it seemed like he hit him in bunches, and you're like, why is this happening? It cannot be that they're throwing his pitch all the time all of a sudden. No, maybe he's hot. We talk about a hot hitter. Why does it happen? It's hard to say, but we've done a lot of studies into that flow state, right? Being in the zone, and there's something about that it's really powerful. So whenever you feel that you have reached that level, you want to ride it as long as possible because you're really flowing athletically and everything is clicking. You're in rhythm. You see the ball better. Seems like your body feels good, and it doesn't last long. It leaves you, and then you have to come back and find it. So I'm fascinated about that magic that us athletes experience at certain periods in our careers, and how can we extend that? How can we get there? And that's the holy grail. That is the treasure that all of us are chasing. If PCA could stay as hot as he is right now,
Yeah, he'd be a 14-WAR player.
Exactly.
He'd break
Why not?
records, yeah.
But is it possible? Yes, it is. He's doing it now. Why couldn't it happen? So that's what we're chasing. If we could be that good consistently, my God, now we're looking at the best player who's ever existed.
All right, one more question before we duck out of here. I want to build upon that. You talk about the hot hand theory. I want to bring up a word, clutch. It's something that's not easily quantifiable, but are there certain players, or were you the type of player that you're stepping into the box? It's a 2-2 game. It's the 8th inning. There's 2 on, 2 out. Is your blood pressure staying the same, or do you have to do some things that really make you stay in the moment and not think about all the stuff that's outside of the box?
I used to be always like to doodle, stuff down, tally stuff up, right? And one of the things that I used to do was I used to take just a note of my at-bats mentally and how I felt at the plate, emotionally, like were my emotions under control. Was I able to feel like I was in my backyard? Did I maintain the same heartbeat? Was I breathing the same? And I would mark it a red, meaning that was good, and then I would give myself an X if it was not, if it was bad. And I would just tally it up. And then at the end of the year, usually if I had, 75% to 80% good marks, I had a pretty good season.
Yeah. It's like having the stickers on the helmet when you're a football player.
But I used to have, this is good, like for kids, listening right now, it's like, go ahead and mark your quality at bats. And my quality at bats was I able to maintain calm? Was my focus locked in regardless of the situation? And if it was a yes, I would mark it as a positive. If it was not, I would mark it as a negative and then reassess why and try to repeat that. So that's exactly what happens when the clutch situation comes. Instead of getting nervous about it, it's almost like you embrace the moment. And I used to do the opposite. So if things got super escalated, I would try to slow them down.
If things were flat, you would try to expand.
If I felt like, man, these guys are, we're kind of flat today.
Low.
Like, let's go, let's get it going. And you would try to rise to that perfect flow state that you want to achieve. So to me, it's fascinating. And like I said earlier, all of us now, and myself included, even as an analyst, what is that? How can, Pete Crow-Armstrong stay this locked in? What is he doing right today that if he knows, he can continue to repeat it? So it's not just a feeling. He has it. He knows why, and he can go back to it. That's fascinating to me, and it's a worthy pursuit, and I'm still pursuing it right now.
I love that. This is Carlos's episode of Cubs Now. Carlos Peña, Cubs analyst here on Marquee Sports Network. We're going to take a break and we come back. Carlos will break down the Cubs. We'll talk more here on Cubs Now. Block B of this episode of Cubs Now. Alex Cole, Lance Brostowski, Carlos Peña here in Block A. We were talking a little bit about Pete Crow-Armstrong and how he's been able to really be as good as he's been in the first half. You've been able to watch Pete Crow-Armstrong, grow as a player from making his debut in 2023 to being, a rookie, 110 games in 2024, the first half in 2025, and then the first half this year. As somebody who is so in tune with the game, how much fun is it for you to watch a guy like that play?
So I've had so much fun watching him. I mean, it's awesome. It's very. I'm pleased to watch someone who's worked so hard, get the reward of his hard work. You know what I mean? He's seeing the fruit of his labor right before him, right? And I love that. Hard work pays off. Right? I remember when a couple years ago when he first broke into the league, and he's like, "This is the defensive outfielder," and we could go back. You could go check it. You know, go ahead and check my Instagram if you want. When I had a breakdown, I told you, you're looking at probably the best outfielder in all of baseball right now, and they're like, "Oh, you're crazy." I'm like, I'm telling you,
just watch.
He is the best outfielder today. They're like, "No, he's still too." I get it. Fine. How about now? I mean, like, I wonder what the objection is today. And by the way, if I'm allowed, if I have enough latitude here to say, how in the world is he not leading the voting for the All-Star?
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, that system is broken. That's another
30-minute pod.
Another podcast. We're actually going to have another podcast after this to talk about All-Star voting in 2026. So.
But look, he makes some adjustments. I mean, we remember he didn't have a leg kick. He did not have this flow. He did not have this rhythm. And, you know, he's like, "Oh, he's hitting breaking pitches." I'm like, yeah, because he's hitting the fastball. He's on time to hit the fastball, so he no longer has to rush to hit the fastball. So now he's able to see, and he's able to hold. He withholds his power and energy, and he unleashes it when he gets the go-ahead. You know, your eyes really are the ones that tell you, that matches, go for it. Man, and I see him grow right before my eyes, and it's been a progression of adjustments. Couldn't be happier for the guy. It's so much fun to watch. He is one of the most exciting players in all of baseball. I mean, it is an understatement. And people are like, "Yeah, that's obvious." I'm like, no, it wasn't so obvious to you guys when you guys were drilling me because I said he was the best player, the best outfielder in the league when he came up.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that I wanted to get your take on is the thing that always jumps out to me is I felt like he was electric last year in a lot of ways. This year, he almost has like some stability from an approach standpoint where he's chasing so much less than he ever has in his career. When a player makes that leap, going from a guy who's really swing happy, I mean, he was swinging 50% of the time outside of the zone. He's down now to the low 30s, which is right around league average. That's a massive jump, and it drives a lot of run production from like an OBP standpoint. But when a hitter does that, when a hitter goes from being, I'm swinging at everything out of the zone, it appears like he can't visualize breaking balls off the plate, to all of a sudden he clicks, and he's now spitting on those pitches because he knows he can't do damage. What have you seen in your career that allows the guy to make that flip?
Yeah, approach, right? Your strategy is so key, right? So for him, what pitch are you hunting, right? Usually what you see is that hitters will chase where your attention is, right? So by racing his sights, he stops chasing down. By racing his sights, we were talking about this earlier, if you're able to race your sights and attack the elevated fastball, then anything lower seems slower. And now breaking pitches that
it's a good rhyme right there. Lower seems slower.
It's pretty cool when you talk to hitters and you're like, "Hey, lower is slower, so start up." And you're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." So those little things help us hitters to remember. So if you have your sights set up on top of the zone, and then you're able to lay off the off-speed pitches, it's not because we have X-ray vision. It's because my attention is here. And anything that looks too low is an automatic take. So I'm like, man, look at this guy. He's not swinging at that garbage down there anymore. And then he gets a fastball middle, or middle slightly up, and he goes, "Plagada." And you're like, okay. And that was a plus fastball, and he got to it. So he's early enough to hit it, and then he lays off the off-speed because there's no rush, there's no panic. I'm like, man, this is a superior level of, discipline, and it's because he has been able to get to the point where his approach is elite. And now that talent expresses itself freely. There's nothing hindering it, or very little hindrance.
So you don't have X-ray vision.
It may seem that way sometimes.
That's what I got. You were talking a little bit about All-Star voting and how Pete Crow-Armstrong was not in the voting or the finalists in voting when it came to the 2026 All-Star game. All right, playing a hypothetical. You are the commissioner of baseball. Carlos Peña, commissioner of MLB. You have full autonomy to change All-Star voting in baseball. What do you do?
Yeah.
Wow, I love this. You put me right on the spot. Great. Thank you for the opportunity. This is what I want to say. This needs to be a straightforward statistic. Hey, if you are the best at your position, you start. Period. Full stop. There's nothing else to talk about. You want to vote in popular players? Then that's maybe on the third level.
So kind of reverse it. Just
Reverse the system.
have the better
You'd use,
players
like-
be voted in by their peers, or standard statistics like WAR.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like WAR? WAR is the baseline?
Yes.
and then have the vote for the ancillary players who you want to see in either the home run derby or the All-Star.
Isn't that fair? That is the fair way to look at it. It's like, well, Carlos, you also have to think about the industry, right? The commercial side of baseball. I'm like, okay, let's do that. Because I understand that there's partnerships to be made. You need popular players in this event. Okay, fine, let's restructure that. But there's no way why Pete Crow-Armstrong cannot be the starter. And he is not even close to being the top vote getter.
Yeah.
How? That is horrible.
When he leads
Absolutely.
position players in WAR, the only other better player is Shohei Ohtani.
What do we do? So the system is clearly broken and very unfair. And people are like, well, it really doesn't matter anymore, when you go to arbitration or when you have negotiating a contract. I'm like, I'm
Those
sorry,
things aren't playing,
it does matter.
So it mattered to you as a player. Like if you're going to the All-Star game, like people in the locker room care about that.
Yeah, there's number one, there's cognitive bias. So if you go to a negotiating table and I'm negotiating a contract and I say I'm a 3-time All-Star, there's no way whoever I'm negotiating with is going to say, well, in reality, you just got voted in by the fans. I'm like, yeah, you can argue all you want, but at the end of the day, it says 3-time All-Star.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So when you now do the opposite, you don't get voted in because you're not the most popular. You do not have a hot Instagram account. You're not good in social media.
Yeah.
So you don't get voted in, but you are one of the better players. That is certainly unfair. I cannot put that on my negotiating table saying, hey, I'm a 3-time All-Star. I've never made an All-Star team, even though I'm one of the best players, in baseball. That's not good. So we need to fix that. And if we want to talk commercially, we'll fix that too. We'll figure out a way to make sure that it's still a hot ticket for sponsorships and all that, and it brings in good revenue for Major League Baseball. It is still doable.
All right, so you're going to take the commissioner hat off. Now I want you to put on the GM hat again.
Oh, yes.
Dominican Winter League, you guys won back-to-back championships. I'm going to butcher this, but is it Escogido de Leones?
Yeah, Leones del Escogido.
There it is. So they won
You had
in
the
25.
accent, you just didn't have
I mixed it.
Yeah.
So in 25, or this would be 24-25 Dominican Winter League season, you guys won. You won at the GM. Then you took over last year and you defended the title. And my favorite part of this is that when I saw this, I was super excited for you. And I saw it on Instagram. There's a video of you crying.
Oh, dude,
like
I loved it.
I was hit by the emotion you had. So talk me through winning that championship and how much it meant to you.
I mean, we were talking about being in the World Series, having this big-time home runs, big-time moments, playing for the Cubs and things like that. Winning the Dominican Republic championship, the Winter League championship, was right up there with my career most exciting moments. It was unbelievable to go through the process. This is my country. Baseball is king there. It really matters. I mean, and everyone feels it all the way to the core, right? So if the team is losing and that's your ball club, you are depressed. Like it's the way it is. And people on the street, they recognize you. They let you know. They're like, "What's going on with my team? What are you doing? Why are you playing that guy?"
They care a lot. They care a lot.
We need to trade. We need to trade for this guy. Why don't you acquire this guy? Sign that guy. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got you.
And also, they don't do this just on social media. They do this to your face.
Yes, straight to your face. Like, why would he be hitting here? Why would you make that pitching change? I'm like, I didn't make it. It was, but fine. But everybody pays so much attention, and I absolutely love it. And winning, the championship through the ups and downs of the whole entire season was so rewarding. The team that I had around me, everybody worked so hard. It was truly the people that I have, surrounding me, to share that with them and to share with my family. My kids, my wife were there as much as they could. And my sons were able to be there, celebrate with the guys of the team, to watch it, and they absorbed all that. And I was just thinking, what an experience, right? Like, what an experience for them. And that whole entire...
Could you imagine experiencing that when you were a kid?
That would have been just a dream.
Yeah.
For them to be able to go through that at this early age, what it does to them. Them to be able to interact with all these like professional baseball players. They have this baseball. Both of my boys, they have this baseball IQ that's crazy. Like Lance, you would love to sit down and talk to them. You'd be
Have them on the podcast.
They're actually our next guest. It's so weird.
You're like, what are you doing? Like, that much baseball? Like, I didn't know that much baseball. They know every single player. They know every single player's stat. They know where every single cutoff man needs to be. And I'm like, what is going on? You guys are 12 and 14, 15 years old. But the experience of, hey, ups and downs, adversity, you overcome the adversity, you don't give up, you keep on fighting, and then you see light at the end of the tunnel, then you get through it, get through the door, and then we dominate in the postseason and win the championship. Of course I was crying. First thing I turned around, hugged my wife, and they know how much sacrifice went into that. It's just right at the top of moments, in my career, winning the championship.
Blood, sweat, tears, and rings, baby.
You get me? You get me. Okay.
I got you. Carlos, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. It's a fun episode of Cubs Now. Thanks so much.
No, thank you for having me.
All right, Carlos Peña, another episode of Cubs Now. Thanks for watching, everybody.